Hi, today we have a Peugeot 207 with a 1.4 petrol engine. I'm going to show you how to change the clutch, and also I'm going to disassemble the transmission, but that will be another video after I remove it. Because the transmission is making noises when it's in first, in second and in third gear, and also the clutch needs to be replaced because when you try to drive the vehicle, it's shaking. So I'm going to start by removing the battery. I'm going to remove the battery covers, remove the air duct hose of the air filter. I have removed the battery, and also I have disconnected the engine ECU, and now I'm going to open these two bolts with 10mm wrench, and I'm going to remove the battery stand. I have removed the battery stand, so next I am going to disconnect the reverse light switch. Also there is a grounding point here. There is one bolt with 13mm wrench. And after that I'm going to open this bolt of the starter. It's with 6mm hex wrench, and there is a metal bracket. There is holding these wires. It's connected with the with that bolt of the starter, and also it's connected on this side on the transmission bolt. There is a nut with 13mm wrench. It's very difficult because it's very tight space for working. So now you can see where the ratchet is positioned. That's where is the one bolt of the transmission, and the other one is next to the bolt of the starter. Now the ratchet is positioned on the second bolt. The bolts can be opened with 16mm wrench. I'm finished for now here. I'm going to raise the vehicle, remove the two front wheels, and I'm going to raise the vehicle. I have raised the vehicle. I have removed the two front tires. So next I'm going to open this bolt that is holding lower ball joint. I'm going to open this nut of the CV axle. There is a nut on this side. This can be opened with 17mm wrench and needs to be held with counter on this side also as a counterweight. And I have to remove this metal crossbar. There are 4 bolts with female Torx 14, and I'm going to try to remove the transmission without removing the front subframe, but I'm gonna have to remove. There are 2 bolts. They are stuck on the block, and they are connected with nuts. One is here right up on the pump, and the other one is the bolt where I was opening the bolt of the transmission of the starter motor. There is a nut over there, and that bolt needs to be removed, and those bolts can be removed with female Torx. I will show you when I am going to remove the slave pump cylinder. There are 2 bolts with 13mm wrench, and then we can see the nut, and also we can see with what female Torx we can remove the whole bolt. I have removed the lower ball joints. Also I have opened the nuts of the CV joints. They can be opened with 36mm wrench, and I have removed them both on both sides. And now I can remove the drive shafts, but first I have to drain the oil from the transmission. The plug is like a square, it's 8 by 8. So I have this kind of tool to open the plug. I'm going to drain the oil. Also I have removed the clutch slave cylinder. So now we can see the nut up there that is holding the transmission with the engine, and also we can see that we can remove that bolt with female Torx. I think it's 10. I will let you know. And after that, after draining the oil, removing the shafts, I can remove the transmission rubber mounting. I'm going to remove the whole assembly. There are two bolts on this side that can be opened with a 17mm wrench, and we have 3 nuts on this side with 13mm wrench, and also we have one at the center over here. This one can be opened with 16mm wrench. I have removed the rubber mounting, removed the drive shafts. Now these two bolts were with 18mm wrench. I made a small mistake. Next I'm going to open the nut with 16mm wrench, and we have 1, 2, 3 bolts with 13mm wrench, and also on this side just below the starter we have one bolt with 13mm wrench, and we have 2 bolts of the starter with 6mm hex wrench. One is below and the other one is somewhere in the middle. I'm gonna try to show you. It's very difficult to see. Yeah. I have removed the 2 bolts of the starter, also removed all the bolts of the transmission with the engine, and also I have disconnected one gear shift cable, you can see, also the other one. We have to press this plastic button, and then we can pull out the cable. I am leaving this bolt, it's only loosened, it's not removed. I am leaving like that. After I support the engine, I'm going to remove the bolt and remove the transmission. Now I'm going to lower the vehicle to support the engine and disconnect the rubber mounting of the transmission. I have supported the engine, so now I can remove the rubber mounting, but first, as you can see, where is the ratchet, I'm going to remove the bolt with female Torx 8, and after that I'm going to open these 2 bolts with 16mm wrench. I have removed the 2 bolts with 16mm wrench, also I have lowered the engine a little. So now I'm going to remove this aluminum bracket. There are 3 bolts with 13mm wrench, 1, 2, and the other one is right here below the. I have removed the aluminum bracket. Now I can raise the vehicle, support the transmission, and I can remove it from the vehicle. I have supported the transmission. Also I have removed the last bolt of the transmission. So now I can separate it from the engine, and I'm going to lower it down. I have managed to separate the transmission from the engine. I can change the clutch like this, but because I have to remove the engine and disassemble it, I'm gonna have to lower it down. So now I have come up with a solution. I have removed the plastic mat cover. There is one bolt with Torx 20, and there are a couple of fast pins. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 plastic fast pins. And next I'm going to open, there are 2 bolts here with 13mm wrench. I'm going to open this bolt with 18mm wrench, and I'm going to open this bolt with female Torx 16. I have removed the metal crossbar, so now I can slowly lower the transmission down. And the transmission is out, so now I can remove the clutch. There are 6 bolts, they are with Torx 40. One we have replaced, probably when it was replaced before. And as we can see for the transmission, also we can notice that it was started to leaking oil, and also this shaft is having a lot of movement, so that's why the transmission needs to be disassembled, but that would be another video. I have removed the clutch disc, and we can see it's very badly damaged. I don't know how the car was moving. This is pretty much damaged. So here is going to be installed a new set of clutch. Here I have a new set of clutch that I'm going to install on the vehicle. Also new clutch release bearing. So now I'm going to install the clutch, tighten it, 6 bolts with Torx 40. The clutch is centered and also tightened. The clutch release bearing also is installed. So now I can raise the transmission and install on the vehicle. I have raised and installed the transmission. Now it's positioned with the engine block. I can start installing the bolts. I have tightened 4 bolts that are holding transmission with the engine with 13mm wrench. 1, 2, 3, and this one is 4. And also I have installed the bolt that can be tightened with female Torx 8 and 16mm nut. And I have installed the 2 bolts of the starter, 6mm hex wrench, but I'm not going to tighten them. I'm going to lower the vehicle. I'm going to install the 3rd bolt of the starter, and after that I'm going to tighten them. And also I'm going to install the rubber mounting. I have lowered the vehicle. I have installed the bolt over here with 8mm with female Torx 8. Also tightened the nut with 16mm wrench. Also I have installed the other bolt over here. That one is with 16mm wrench. And I have installed the bolt of the starter with 6mm hex wrench. Now I can install the aluminum bracket, and I can connect the transmission with the rubber mounting. I have installed the aluminum mount, 3 bolts with 13mm wrench. Also I have connected the grounding point here, 1 bolt with 13mm wrench, And now I'm going to raise the engine a little, and I can connect the transmission with the rubber mounting. I'm almost finished from the top side of the engine. I have tightened the two bolts with 16mm wrench. Now the transmission is connected with the chassis, so now I can raise the vehicle. I have to finish the work from below, and after that I have to refill with new oil from the transmission breather, and after that I can install the battery stand here. Also I have to connect the gear shift cables, but those one I'm going to install them first from the lower side of the engine. I have raised the vehicle, and first I have tightened the two bolts of the starter, because I have let them loose so I can install the third one at the top. Next I have installed the rubber mounting of the transmission. Two bolts here with 18mm wrench, three nuts on this side with 13mm wrench, and one bolt here with 16mm wrench. Next I'm going to install the clutch slave cylinder, two bolts with 13mm wrench. I have installed the clutch slave cylinder, two bolts, 13mm wrench. Next I'm going to install the drive shafts from the left and from the right side, and I'm going to install the ball joints. I have installed both drive shafts, installed the lower ball joints, installed the bolts that hold the ball joints. These bolts can be tightened with 16mm wrench, and there is a nut on this side and bolt on this side. So also this ball joint was damaged. It had free movement, that's why it needed to be replaced. To replace this kind of ball joint I had to cut the rivets, and after that it can be removed. New one has bolts inside, so now it's tightened and there is no free movement. Now everything is okay, and now I can install this metal crossbar here. I have installed a metal crossbar, one bolt with 18mm wrench, two bolts with 13mm wrench, and also one bolt with female Torx 16. So now I'm going to install the plastic splash guard. There are 6 plastic fast pins, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 2 we have here at the bottom, and one bolt with Torx 20. Now I'm going to install the metal crossbar from here to here, 4 bolts with female Torx 14. So now I can lower the vehicle and I can refill the transmission with oil. I have lowered the vehicle. I have tightened the nuts of the CV joints with 36mm wrench, installed the R fuse. Now I can install the wheels and put the vehicle on the ground. The vehicle is on the ground, so now I'm going to refill with oil. I'm using 7590, and we can fill it through the breather hole. To refill it, it contains around 2 liters of oil. I have refilled with 2 liters of oil. So now I can install the battery stand, and I can install the battery and start the engine. I have installed the battery stand, 2 bolts with 10mm wrench. Also I have installed all plastic clips from the wires. Installed this relay holder. Also there is one wiring here that is with plastic clips. Also I have installed the engine ECU, connected the wiring. Now I can install the battery and I can install the air filter breather hose. I have installed the battery, installed all the plastics, so now I can start the engine for the first time, and after that I can also test drive the vehicle. Now the clutch is easy to press. Now there is no more shaking while vehicle is starting to drive. Everything is okay. So now I can do a test drive on the road. So now I can do a test drive. There is no sound coming from the transmission. In first, in second and in third gear it was horrible inside. There was a lot of noise. All gears are working. Everything looks good. The clutch is also perfect. This means that I am finished. If you like to see more videos, please subscribe to my channel, like my videos, and thank you for watching.